It must be a Wednesday. You know why? Because Panel B is back.
Somebody could listen to this on a Thursday, a Friday. It has
Wow.
lots of relevant content for the whole next week ahead.
You know, I thought it was a nice intro, and you just like poo-pooed all over it.
I just am trying to make the argument that Panel B is relevant every day.
Okay. Oh, all right. Actually, I like that better. So it's
See?
a Wednesday we're
Suck
recording
it,
this on,
Bukes.
but we are good any day of the week. So no matter what day you're listening to, Panel B in the house here. We have a absolutely jam-packed show.
Yeah.
Literally so much to talk about. Football, cheating.
Baseball is as hot as it's ever been.
Yes.
This is the most excited everyone is to talk about baseball. You don't have to hit home runs, win the World Series, whatever. You just have to cheat.
Just cheat. All you got to do is cheat.
We'll get to that.
Like, they've been struggling so hard on marketing. Just cheat, and everybody will be all in for it.
Yeah.
Who knew that was the answer there? So we will be talking some MLB, not just a cheating scandal. A couple big signings took place. MLB win totals for the season are now up at the DraftKings Sportsbook, if you want to take an early look at that. Luke Kuechly retiring for the Panthers. Pretty surprising. We'll hit on that really quick, too, as well. But seriously, so much to get to, so we'll stop blabbing and wasting time. I don't want to go too deep into the divisional round results. You know, we're recording this on a Wednesday, kind of old news now.
Yep.
What I did want to look at, and this was like incredible, is the live betting odds for both of the games that took place between the Titans and Ravens and the Texans and the Chiefs. Unbelievable swing in these games. Like, honestly, astronomical.
Yep.
We'll start with the Ravens and Titans here. Total shock. And this was actually one that I did participate in for the live betting.
Okay.
Didn't end up going too well. This was the one
Nope.
game that I did live bet, and I picked the wrong one. Pre-game, Ravens money line at minus 500 against the Titans, plus 410.
Great value. That was a 550 unit play for Vegas Dave.
Oh, we're trying to get him on the show too. All of his whale plays, all of his great plays.
Yeah, well, he's never lost a bet. So
right.
should probably talk to him.
Right. This game just went so downhill so quickly for the Ravens, and at halftime, the Titans were still underdogs, but only at plus 100. And this was when they were leading by 14-6. Once halftime was over, that was it. That was your last chance to get the Titans at plus money there.
Ravens at Titans at yeah. Sorry.
Just absolutely unbelievable that at the end of the game there, the Ravens score still trailed 28-12. They were still plus 1,200 underdogs. Like, just an unbelievable collapse by the Ravens here. But just kind of crazy to see how this game progressed and how the odds changed throughout
How many
the day.
fourth down stops did Tennessee get again? Wasn't it?
Is this 3? I think it was.
3 or 4
Yeah.
fourth down stops. So you add those in, that you're looking at like a 6 or 7 turnover game, basically.
Right.
Fourth down stops, that's called a turnover on downs. So Baltimore basically had 6 or 7 turnovers in this game, and that just played right into Tennessee's ability to just stuff Derrick Henry down their throats. And worst case scenario, we'll see if Tennessee can New England, Baltimore, Kansas City road to the Super Bowl. That would be quite impressive.
But I thought it was impressive, too, that with the Titans leading 14-0, you could still get them at plus money. They were plus 100. They're basically even at that point. But
well, I mean,
it just goes to show how
I think the numbers in the next game were even crazier.
Yes, and that's the one we kind of want to hit upon here. So, if you were a Texans backer, or if you were Ben Zwyman, who was celebrating a Texas win in the first quarter,
Zwyman was counting cash, buying everybody a drink after the first quarter of that game. And
Yep. Ben Zwyman.
The 21-0 Houston actually wasn't the final score.
Yep. Zwyman used to work here at DraftKings. Now he's one of the editors over at DraftKings Nation. Was chirping me on Twitter. I purposely kept silent, and then I kind of came at him later with a little jab, and that was it. You know what? He was wallowing in his fortunes that, you know, this is why you don't screenshots in the first quarter. We don't do that yet.
Okay.
But at the end of the end of the first quarter, Chiefs money line is at 265. And this is when the score was 21-0.
Pretty crazy. And Houston has the ball about to decide if they're going to go for it on fourth down, which they obviously should have, or kick to go up 24-0. They went up 24-0, I think, on the first play of the second quarter. Otherwise, within the first minute or so.
They did.
So that like, I went to look to live bet at this point in the game.
Sure.
And I was like, what's Kansas City going to be, like, plus 400? I was like, wow. But a lot of game left, and we know how Houston can choke, so obviously those live odds were correct. But
And I did want to point that out because pregame, they were minus 476 on the money line. Mm-hmm. So down 3 scores, only plus 265. Like, I was shocked it was that low. And I think that kind of was telling.
It's really just because it was so early and because Kansas City got the ball to start the second half, which they essentially, at this point in the game, with Mahomes down this many points, sportsbooks basically count that first drive of the second half as a touchdown, which it was. But they count that as 7 points.
It was just absolutely incredible here. The Chiefs did score. They went down to plus 140, and that was it. That was the last time you were going to get them at plus money.
Yep. That was so when I was looking at that, I was too scared to take the Chiefs money line because I was like, man, and I already have some futures on them to win the AFC and stuff. So I got plus 9.5.
Yep.
Which obviously they won by 20. So that's a little ridiculous, but still.
To end the game at the end of the third quarter, when the Chiefs were up by 10, they were minus 10,000 on the money line. Like, that was it. Just incredible to see that literally about an hour and a half before, you could have got them at plus 265, and then minus 10,000 to end the third quarter.
It's 2 quarters. It's a half of football from plus 265 to minus 10,000. Wow.
Yep. But just an incredible swing. Like, that was just an unbelievable game. Like, that's what playoff football is kind of all about. Like, that
I think a lot of Houston backers, they got Houston plus 9.5, plus 10, tried to smartly middle and take Kansas City live plus 9.5, plus 10. And it's like, wow, I have this 20-point window here where I can win both bets, and then Kansas City wins by 20, which is just ridiculous. Unbelievable.
So I just want to bring those up. Like, seeing those numbers was just crazy to see that, especially for 2 playoff games, really. Just a massive, massive swing there. Real quickly, just want to hit upon this Sunday. So we have the Titans and Chiefs. Chiefs, as you'd expect, are favorites here, minus 7.5 spread, 345 on the money line. Packers, 49ers, same thing. 49ers, 7.5 favorites. And this one, also minus 345 on the money line. Only 2 games here. We won't have to go too in depth. Anything jump out at you that you saw off the top here?
Well, I don't give football picks anymore.
Oh, okay.
It just hasn't
Thanks
gone
for coming,
well.
everybody.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk to you guys next week. It's been a bad postseason. Sportsbooks have cleaned up.
For everybody, though.
Right. Yeah, no, it's been bad for everybody. I took the sharp side on Clemson as one of my plays on the show last week. That looked great at 17-7, then that didn't work out. So it's been bad playoff football. But isn't the Super Bowl going to be Chiefs and 49ers?
Not a guarantee anymore. It's going to be Titans-Packers.
Okay, so without even making a pick, let's look at, like, Tennessee and Houston are considered very similar teams. Houston was plus 3 in Tennessee when they played at full strength. The Week 17 game doesn't really count because Houston rested all their starters.
Yep.
So with Houston being favored, with Houston plus 3 in Tennessee, that is essentially saying they view these teams as dead even on a neutral field.
Okay.
The Chiefs were just favored by 9.5, 10 over Houston and won by 20. The value is on Kansas City minus 7.5. That is not something you can argue with. That's a fact. What you can argue with is that Tennessee is a team that the value doesn't matter right now because they're so hot and because they have this battering ram in Henry that breaks everybody's game plan.
Yep.
And, like, it doesn't matter. Just like the value was on Clemson in the title game. That went from 6.5 to 4. The value was on Clemson, but LSU was a team that just, if the value didn't, it doesn't matter. You can give value away, and they're still going to cover. The difference is the Tennessee Titans are not this dominant force that LSU was going 15-0 through college football all year. They're the Tennessee Titans. If Kansas City can... Kansas City just got smacked in the face out of the gate. You got to think they're going to be ready. The point all week is going to be, let's come out and start this game right. If Kansas City gets up 14-0, that takes Derrick Henry out of the game, and now you're relying on Ryan Tannehill against a really good Kansas City secondary. It's really hard not to like Kansas City in this game, but the Titans have ruined the end of my entire football season. I lost money on them against the Ravens. I lost money against them on the Patriots. You know the prop I had, Nick Chubb to lead the league in rushing, plus 1,800. He was leading the league in rushing until Derrick Henry went for 200 yards in the late game and took away my plus 1,800 bet. The Titans have taken away everything from me this postseason, so who knows?
I didn't know I was your psychiatrist. Like, are you on a couch?
I'm explaining to you both sides
of
of this game. The value is Kansas City. I like Kansas City. I will take Kansas City minus 7.5 if I'm betting this game.
Yes, of course. The only thing is there, and like you made the point about Tannehill. Wolf have to rely upon the arm of Tannehill. We've said this like 2 weeks in a row now, and it has not happened.
I
they
know,
have
but
not
eventually
needed to
it
do
is.
that. Sure.
It's going to happen, I think.
Right. But, like, it was, okay, well, if there's a game that's going to happen, it's going to be against the Patriots. Didn't happen. Okay, well, if there's a game that's going to have to happen, it's going to be against Baltimore. Didn't happen. Now, Derrick Henry is facing one of the worst run defenses in the league. And the problem is, you look at what he did against the Chiefs during the regular season. 23 carries, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
That's scary. That is a scary thing to look at because he is just unstoppable at this point. It is unbelievable what he's doing week in and week out. Since week 10, he has not rushed for under 100 yards in all but one game.
Yeah.
In that game, it was 86 yards.
It's like
That's
we
a
always
bad
talk.
game.
We always talk about how you can kind of like plug and play running backs. Like somebody goes down, and it's the next guy up. Unless you have Derrick Henry, because he's the one guy you can't tackle. Like he actually makes. He's like an MVP candidate at running back, which is extremely rare.
So for me, the game plan for the Titans is obviously to slow this game down, keep the ball out of the hands of Patrick Mahomes.
We just saw the game plan happen twice in a row.
Yeah.
So we know what it is. And they've allowed 25 combined points to the Patriots and Ravens. That's where I think it's going to be different. That like 25 points to the Ravens and Patriots. Those offenses crap to the bed, but also give credit to Tennessee. This is just the offense that just put up 51. I just don't think they can do it to this offense.
No, and I agree.
That's where I think the difference is.
And honestly, a lot of the problems for Kansas City at the beginning of that game was special teams.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out because
Yeah.
Kansas City's defense, I did mean to say that. Kansas City's defense gave up, what's 31 minus 14? Basically 17 points. 10 points early is what I'm trying to say. 10 points early.
Yep.
And then that one touchdown, the rushing touchdown to Watson in the second half. That was a block punt and a dumb call to put Tyreek Hill back there and give up whatever that was, a 6-yard field.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I also like the Chiefs at 7.
Which ruined your Houston team total under bet, essentially.
Oh, I know.
You can blame Kansas. You can blame Kansas City special teams for that, not Kansas City defense or offense.
That was bad. That was over quick.
Love losing a team total in the first quarter.
That makes it feel good about betting. But yeah, I agree. Minus 7.5 for the Chiefs just feels too low. The Titans are going to keep this game competitive, I think, but I would see the Chiefs running away with this game more than I would the Titans. So 7.5.
I agree, and that could mean a Chiefs second half play too, whether you're on the Chiefs or not. See what that looks like at halftime.
Real quick, Packers and 49ers. Like I said, 49ers 7.5 favorites in this one. Big underdog for the Packers here, which has me kind of leaning the Packers here. Not necessarily because of Aaron Rodgers, because quite frankly, Aaron Rodgers has been average at best, especially in the second half of the season here. Like, we don't see him going up there.
He had some great throws against Seattle.
He does. And I would say that this is definitely a 49ers team that you can throw against. I think the perception is they're still this defensive juggernaut, which they certainly are not anymore. But kind of like Packers 7.5.
I mean, they did. Minnesota got like 7 first downs or whatever and didn't even run for one. That was a good defense.
That was it. Well, I don't know. The Vikings, I don't use that as like a bar to I don't even know. I don't like
Prior to the win over Seattle, the only playoff teams that Green Bay had beat is Minnesota twice and Kansas City with Matt Moore.
So are you not liking the Packers, what you're saying?
I like the 49ers minus 7.5. I think I'm gonna be laying the points with both favorites this week. I really wish I got them both at 7. They both opened at 7. Kansas City moved immediately. San Francisco took a little bit of time, but longer than I had to decide. It was actually 6.5 in some places. But so you look at the regular season game, 37-8 or whatever it was. I don't put as much stock in the Tennessee-Kansas City regular season game because Kansas City dominated Tennessee in terms of yards. Tennessee kind of squeaked that one out with some unique, fluky type of plays. Any way that you look at this Green Bay-San Francisco game the first time around, San Francisco just outright dominated every aspect of the game. I think we're gonna. I don't think it's gonna be as bad, but I think it's gonna be a very similar game to the Minnesota game because I think Minnesota and Green Bay are pretty comparable teams, even though Green Bay won both of those games. So 27-10 range, 27-13, 27-17, like something in that range is where I see this game. And the 49ers should be able to run the ball down Green Bay's throat this game.
But I don't feel great about their running game. Like, I know Tevin Coleman just went off last week, but it's not been consistent. And they got that whole three-headed tandem with, Tevin Coleman, Mostert, Breida.
I don't mind that as long as one of them's doing something.
I don't mind it, but is that going to be enough to beat the Packers? I don't know. I don't feel like it is. Like, the only thing with the Packers is, like...
So you like Green Bay to win?
I like them to cover.
Okay.
I don't feel as good about them winning the game. Just because with the Packers, like I said, Rodgers has been mediocre at best. And if you stop Devontae Adams, well, you're in trouble. Because even like someone like Lazard, who's been his number 2 option, didn't even get a target last week. Like, I know he was hurt. I know that was an issue. But, like, he just doesn't trust enough of these guys to get them consistent targets other than Devontae Adams. Like, Jimmy Graham led the team in targets, was second in targets with 4. 4.
So I feel like all the Niners have to do is, do they have the secondary to double and shut down Adams? Seattle did not.
Right.
Because it was so obvious what Green Bay was going to do on that third down. They converted to essentially win the game before they got the Jimmy Graham one. They're going Adams, and they did. I think that San Francisco is going to be able to stop that, and when you stop that, then what's left?
Fine. That's fair. So for this week, only 2 bets to make. Not much to choose from here. I'm still going to roll with Green Bay 7.5. I think that I'm going to roll with that one there. I'm actually going to take the under on the Titans and Chiefs. I feel like this could just end up being a slower pace game.
Tennessee just is going to make that happen.
It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points for a game where Tennessee is going to keep pounding with Derrick Henry. So don't like taking the under, but I feel like that has more of a chance to hit than the over.
I really feel like both favorites on the spread is the right play this week. I'm not even going to parlay them on the money line. I'm going to take Kansas City minus 7.5 and San Francisco minus 7.5 as my 2 picks.
Yep. Okay. I think that's fair.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. It wasn't a good week for us last week. We don't need to worry about that. No, that was last week. We're much better this week here.
This is when we turn it around, Bucks.
Just quick reminder, odds and lines are subject to change. See website for actual odds. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants some help, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER. Baseball in the news.
Quick look at the 2-game slate or no?
Not yet.
Okay. Quick look at the 2-game slate. If you're playing cash, you're playing Patrick Mahomes at 7,700.
Fine.
Who do you think is better value, I guess, since there's 2 value quarterbacks? Tannehill for 55 or Jimmy G for 52?
Garoppolo.
I agree.
Because, you real quick, you just look at Tannehill, 14 pass attempts last week, 15 the week before.
So, but that's playing with their game plan. So if this is an under game and Derrick Henry gets going, then you're right. If this is the game where Kansas City says, you know how you beat Tennessee, you come out, touchdown, stop, touchdown, 14-0.
Yep.
Now you have them. Then Tannehill has to throw against what can be a susceptible pass defense in
the Chiefs?
In the Chiefs that you can
stellar
get. No, I'm saying that you can get to at times.
Tannehill, sure.
Tannehill got to them at times in that matchup earlier in the year. It's not a great spot. Long story short, I agree. Jimmy G is the value play.
Yes.
I think the running back situation is interesting. I think Damian Williams is a strong play and a strong pivot off of Derrick Henry at 8,700 in tournaments because if that game script holds where Kansas City comes out, then they're going to be running with Williams. Williams caught a touchdown last week. He's involved in so many ways right now in that backfield. And then because of the Tevin Coleman game, Raheem Mostert is only $4,300 against that Packers defense. I think he is a guy that you can lock right in there, and they're going to go right back to him as the featured guy. Running back thoughts.
Value-wise, I think Deion Lewis is actually in play.
If that game script goes the other way.
Exactly.
But they really aren't going to want to take Derrick Henry off the field, but still.
And I agree with that. And you look at Lewis's game log.
How did he do in the last Kansas City game?
In the last Kansas City game, he had 0 touches.
Strong argument, Bucks.
But truly, I feel like I know he's been almost non-existent, but on a 2-game slate where you're going to have to find some value somewhere because you can't jam all these guys in.
I know.
Deion Lewis, I think, is a consideration. It's ugly. Not going to feel great about it, but 3,300 for somebody who's going to catch some passes if they're behind big, which is a potential. You know, if this is a another tournament pivot here, I think Dion Lewis is definitely someone to consider. You know, not great, but there is. Value is lacking hard on this slate. I mean, again, only 2 games, but like you go through some of these guys under 4K, good luck, truly.
So, I mean, at wide receiver, I think that's one of the spots you can kind of get to value. My 2 favorite plays are Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel. Surprise, surprise, the number 1 receivers on the 2 teams favored by 7.5 points that are at home. That said, I don't like Devontae Adams that much for $7,900. You know he's going to get the targets. I just think San Francisco has to bracket him, and that's how you stop the Packers. A.J. Brown is interesting at $5,200.
I know.
He's been so dominant, but he hasn't gotten the ball in these postseason games because he hasn't had to. It's just Henry. If this game goes the way that we've been talking about, with the Chiefs jumping out to the early lead, now A.J. Brown's a factor, and A.J. Brown has been fantastic. His salary is down like $2,000 or whatever. Yeah, $2,200
since the Patriots game.
So now's the time you kind of strike on him. But value-wise, you know, Emmanuel Sanders, 49, Sammy Watkins, 46, Mecole Hardman, 38. There's
Kendrick
a little
Bourne
bit out there. Kendrick Bourne, how much is he? 42. Like,
see, if you were on the show last week, you would have known I was all about him, and you probably would have won a lot of money.
Cool.
Well, I'm just saying, if you came on the show once in a while, you'd know these things.
I survived without Kendrick Bourne last week.
Really?
I did.
Oh, that's a tough fade. 13 points for someone who was about 15% on a 4-gamer.
Yep. Okay.
All right, good for you. Lazard, too?
I think that No, I didn't play Lazard. I played Hollywood Brown over him. Oh, yeah, well, the 0 targets was pretty unencouraging.
But
0 targets, right?
Yeah, but as you were saying, if they're going to ball up Adams, you got to go somewhere else. Lazard has been the guy for Rodgers when he basically has been thrown to Adams. I know 0 last week, but you look at his 3 games before, 8, 9, and 3.
Yep. I love how you're arguing Lazard following a 0 target game and Dion Lewis following a 0 touch game against his upcoming opponent. But hey, 2 games. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Tight end, I want to do everything I can to fit Travis Kelce and George Kittle in flex, but I don't know if it's going to be there.
Yeah. A tight end is an absolute...
In which case, is Jonnu Smith for $3,400 a better flex play than like a $4,000 wide receiver? Maybe, because you might need that savings.
Yeah, and the tight end position has been a position that the Chiefs have struggled with. Smith doesn't get a lot of targets, but he does get some good red zone looks. So I would say that $3,400 for a touchdown play, that could be something. If you want to go really off the board, Pruitt, who's actually the second tight end for the Titans. Only 1 target last week.
Bozo that was making all the big catches against the Patriots is the 3rd tight end?
Yes, it was.
Nice.
Only 2 targets a game the past 4 weeks. But, again, 2,600. You're talking about somebody who is going to get some looks. Good matchup against the Chiefs.
There's almost no way to build a lineup without squeezing a punt play into it.
Yes. So Pruitt actually might be the way on Tennessee for that. Defense, do you feel any sort of...
I don't have any interest in not playing the 49ers for $2,900.
Oh, really? See, I was thinking about the Chiefs at 3,100. Only 200 difference.
Yeah. I just feel like that game has the potential to see a few more points. But the Chiefs have they've been really good defensively lately.
Yep.
And they're at home. So I don't hate it. You mix it up if you're making multiple lineups. I'm going to be playing San Francisco, I think. Just because I have less belief in the Packers on the road here.
Well, I would say the quick mention on the Packers, Jimmy Garoppolo certainly is not prone to turn over the ball. So...
Is prone to turn over the ball.
So don't hate that either. I do like Jimmy G as a whole, but he certainly is someone that can toss a couple interceptions in a game like that.
That is fair.
Okay. All right, so that's going to do it for NFL. Let's talk MLB here.
Yeah, let's.
And this absolute ridiculous story, people getting fired left and right. It's insane. So just a quick recap here. So A.J. Hinch is out as Astros manager. Alex Cora, as of yesterday, is out as the Red Sox manager. Cora's kind of feels like the mastermind of this whole thing here.
That's how it is being portrayed through the report, for sure.
And now Carlos Beltran's being mentioned. He hasn't even had day 1 as manager with the Mets.
Yeah,
and now he could be getting canned too.
Lucky for him that he was a player on that team, because the players aren't getting punished,
right?
Even if they had a role like Beltran did.
Right.
So that's an interesting wrinkle, I guess. But he's going to be under quite a microscope.
Yes.
Moving forward, he would be an absolute idiot to cheat and do anything like this season. But
so a couple funny things that I saw in the report here is that, so obviously Alex Cora was heavily involved there as the bench coach there. Mm-hmm. He was kind of the mastermind behind this whole trash can scheme. You know, it brings me back to my childhood with Doug. Remember Doug the cartoon?
I do.
Remember the beats? Banging on the trash can. Baby. That's probably where he got the idea from. He was watching an episode of Doug, and we got to do banging on the trash can, drumming on the street light.
If there were odds on this, I would bet that's not where he got the idea. But good for you.
But the thing I thought was interesting is that AJ Hinch, which is the manager of the Astros here, never came out and said that he didn't like what they were doing, but he was very passive-aggressive about it.
He didn't have a role in it. He destroyed the equipment, but then they start again, and he just keeps walking by. He never says, don't do that.
Is that not the biggest angry girlfriend thing that you could do? Like, so she catches you texting another woman on the phone. She doesn't want to tell you, but she's going to smash the screen. And that's your way of figuring out that she knows. So AJ Hinch goes, destroys the monitors that they're using, and that's it. But doesn't say anything. So just passive-aggressive. I think that says a lot about his personality.
Then they got the monitors right back and started doing it again.
And then what did he do? Nothing. That was it. I mean,
he got his punishment for sure.
yeah, now he did. And then the other thing is they were getting some of the information on their Apple Watches, which is something that the Red Sox...
This is Red Sox, right? Or this is Houston did it as well?
Both.
Okay.
So
that's
the Red
a Cora
Sox
thing that he just carried right over.
Right. So the Red Sox were fine for this in 2017, and then the Astros were also doing this with, that's how they're getting some of the information relayed to them. Mm-hmm. But what just a wild story that this has turned into, because for me, and this is kind of the consensus overall, this is nothing new.
Right.
This is something that's been going on for years and years and years, but now it's kind of come to light.
It just got enhanced. They took it too far.
Right. So now the Astros are looking for a manager. The Red Sox are looking for a manager.
And a GM.
And a GM. And we're basically a month away from spring training. Mm-hmm. And this is just, the timing is just odd for me. I know, obviously. Yeah. But it just kind of puts the whole sport in this negative spotlight that's struggling to begin with. And I don't think the casual fan is going to care about this too much, but it's just another black eye for baseball that's been struggling since the steroid era to really kind of bring the average person in.
Yeah.
So
what does this all mean for betting? That's the way that I look at it.
That's how the world goes. The DraftKings Sportsbook did release regular season win totals for MLB teams. So that's
I immediately started scrolling through looking for the Astros and the Red Sox. The Astros conveniently not available, but the Red Sox, who fired their manager last night, Tuesday night, are available at 89.5. This was already going to be a transition year for the Red Sox. They did get Mookie Betts on that deal.
Under. I
think I like the under as well, but this opened up in Vegas, I think, on Monday, and books in Vegas do have Houston around at 96, 97 wins.
Okay.
They have an immensely talented lineup, but they lost Garrett Cole. Verlander seems to have been losing a little bit, I would say, even though his regular season was great. Mm-hmm. They have no manager. They have no general manager to even facilitate trades. What do they need at the deadline? Whatever. They'll find somebody. I think I'm more comfortable with an under for Houston when that is eventually available than Boston, just because there's extra wins there. Look, Jose Altuve and George Springer and everything, they're great players. They're talented players. They were talented prospects all along before they had guys beating on trash cans in their dugout. However, if you look at their splits from the 2017 World Series postseason, they are drastically better at home than on the road.
Right.
I don't remember the exact numbers. I'm too lazy to look them all up. But they were to the degree of the most extreme player was Altuve during that 2017 postseason run. He hit about 470 with 6 home runs at home. Mm-hmm. High 100s with 1 home run on the road. Those are ridiculous splits. Ridiculous splits. There were other guys like role players like Brian McCann that was hitting like 250 with a couple home runs at home and would hit like 35 on the road. Basically had 1 hit in like 29 at bats or something. Like, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think there has to be a hangover here.
I just feel like
just last thing, sorry, and I know we're going to talk about Garrett Cole a little bit for the Yankees, but losing Cole
massive
is a huge, like, the win total came down. I don't even know what Houston was last season, but they've got to be within like
90,
3.
I think it was 98.
Right, so what are they, like 1-2 games away with losing Cole and this scandal news?
Right. So the other thing is that their rotation doesn't look as strong as it was with losing Cole. You look at now, Verlander's number 1. Greinke, who was okay. Lance McCullers is coming back from Tommy John. That's going to be a boost, maybe.
Yeah,
if he's healthy.
He's coming back from Tommy John. Who knows?
And then what? Urquidy, Peacock.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Right.
Oh, yeah, Brad Peacock. He was a guy last year.
Right. So yeah, I agree. I feel like the under is definitely in play. I don't really give a crap about the manager thing because baseball doesn't give a crap about the manager thing.
Well,
remember that dope who's managing with the Cubs now? David Ross.
Okay.
Remember that?
So I agree with you if we're all on the same playing field and we're all doing the exact same things. But managing was a boost for these teams because the managers were cheating, allowing their teams to hit better at home.
Fair. That's a fair point.
So now it is like the Red Sox, terrible pitching last year. They were like a top 3 to 5 team in runs per game at home at Fenway Park. If that hitting goes away in both home ballparks, that's, in my opinion, got to be worth around 5 wins.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So while I agree with you in like all right, we're going to the lefty, like that doesn't matter. Knowing fastball or curveball does matter. And if you're cheating hard enough to know that more than other teams, now we are talking about wins that matter.
Yep. And the Cubs, by the way, over under 86.5.
I know what you like.
You think I like the under?
Yeah.
I would probably lean that way. Especially with who knows what's going to happen with Chris Bryant. That's a big thing, too, because he's involved in a lot of trade rumors. But I'll tell you what doesn't matter. The dope sitting on the bench manager, David Ross.
Okay,
oh,
I agree.
The players like him. Oh, he's a great manager now. Idiot.
Okay.
It's the dumbest move.
The next trickle-down effect of this news. Let's look at not even World Series odds, but because these are 2 AL perennial contenders, let's look at the American League odds. There are only 5 teams at plus 1,100 or better, 2 teams at lower than the plus 1,100. So the Yankees are plus 165, Houston's plus 220, Boston plus 1,100, Cleveland and Tampa plus 1,100.
Twins
plus 1,200. I knew you were going to squeak them in there, especially with the Josh Donaldson signing, which we can touch on here too. Like the only 2 teams, there's 3 the 3 favorites. 2 of them are Boston and Houston that are caught up here who we think might be under teams, hangover teams, transition teams. Houston at 220 is ridiculous. They need to fall to at least like plus 400.
Yep.
Boston at plus 1,100, like almost maybe a little value there with the players they have, but I can't get on board given the situation.
Way.
So does that leave the Yankees with coming off? They were injured like all year. Their lineup was in, like, let's say their lineup has a healthy year. They add Cole to the top of that rotation.
Good night.
I think Yankees plus 165 to win the AL with those other 2 teams falling off is a great bet.
Yep.
And then you just hold on for dear life. I mean, the Indians are falling apart a little bit.
Yep.
What was their big trade this offseason?
Kluber
to Texas, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. You got to baseball. See, I don't remember these things. I remember Alex Cora banging on drums. I don't remember what team Corey Kluber is on. This is baseball right now. But yeah, I think the Yankees' like biggest contenders are going to be like the Rays, the A's, the Twins. It's going to be those lower teams at over plus 1,000. I think you can put a big bet in on the Yankees and splash in on Twins, A's, Angels at plus 2,000 to win the AL. Like any teams like that, and kind of just play off of maybe you take the Houston and Boston win total unders and add on to it with some AL futures.
It's just, I was very confused by these odds here because obviously everything going on with the Astros, even the Red Sox, if they falter early, there's no reason to say they won't start trading off some chips midseason.
Right. I only mean in theory with the talent that 1,100 is a number that jumps out because they were like plus 700 to win the World Series going into last year. But taking everything into account, no, I don't think they're a good bet. The Houston number is ridiculous.
Right. I don't understand that at all. With so much in flux here and losing their top pitcher, I was surprised by that. But, yeah, I mean, there's a couple teams here, even Cleveland, Like, they are in the market to potentially trade Francisco Lindor. They are in the market to potentially trade another starter. So getting them at a plus 1,100, on the surface looks like good value, but it's like this team could easily be sellers at the trade deadline, maybe even before. So looking at some of these teams lower, the Twins, the Athletics, the Angels, even the White Sox. The White Sox lineup quietly got so much better this offseason. There's a lot of value here. The Yankees are by far have a stranglehold here, but there's a lot of value in these mid-tier teams.
For me, this is something like when I do act on this maybe in a month or two.
Tonight.
A month or two. I'm thinking something along the lines of 75 to 80% of whatever your MLB futures bankroll is going to be here. Yankees.
Yep.
And then the 10 to 12% a piece on... The Twins will definitely be one team at plus 1,200, and then pick another team. The A's, the Angels, the White Sox, one of those other ones for a little sprinkle.
Real quick, because I don't want to spend too much more time on this. DraftKings Sportsbook does have a Garrett Cole specials. Player to record 15 or more strikeouts in a game in 2020. Yes, at minus 134. Please put some money on that. Just go and do that. He only did it once. Last year, that was his high.
That's a little concerning.
Well, no. But here's the thing.
I do like. No, I'm with you. But go ahead.
You're in the month of September. 10, 14, 10, 11, 15, 14. He was on the cusp so many times. Oh, and 14 right before in August. He was at that number consistently near the end of the year. And now he's going against an AL East team that, by the way, features the Orioles. By the way, features the Blue Jays. By the way, features the Red Sox. At some point, he is going to hit the over on that number.
I think he's going to get it in an Oriole game.
Yep.
Is my take.
Yep, absolutely. Because, by the way, that team has done nothing. And then, real quickly,
sorry, keep going.
Want to just talk about my Twins? Signing Josh Donaldson. Awful contract. Awful.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Awful contract.
The deal struck me as bad, but he's a nice piece to a team that we both liked a lot last year. You were in the driver's seat there with him.
So defensively, they're going to be good because you get Donaldson at third base now. You can move Sano at first base, which is kind of fixes that there on their infield. They are going to score 17 runs a game. They're going to give up 25. But that's what's going to happen. They're going to win these slugfests each and every day. Their pitching is atrocious. I'm surprised that they didn't try to use some of that Donaldson money to go get some pitching because it's horrific. But this team, like, they set the record last year for home runs. They realistically could beat it again this year. It's unbelievable the power that this team has. They had it 1 through 9 last year. Now it's like 1 through 9, and then
with a bat on the bench every night.
Right. It's insane how much power they're going to have, but I'm very excited for another Twins season. It's going to be very exciting.
Two very last quick thoughts on Cole. Number one, if you're going to bet the over 15 strikeouts in a game at minus 134, which I do think is a good bet, you might as well put a tiny sprinkle on a 20 strikeout game for plus 4,000.
I know.
Put like $10 on it.
I know.
You win $400. Right?
Is
that good math? That is good math.
That is good math.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you could say that. I mean, the chances of it are slim to none, but hey, it's a good sweat.
The chances of me doing something dumb with $10 is 100%. So I'm just going to spend it on that. Here's the other interesting thing. I saw the 200. His over/under for strikeouts is 273.5. I was like,
whoa,
man, that's a lot. Now, I wanted to see how many he had last year. He had 326 last year.
Yep.
He started tied for a career high 33 starts. He also has gone under. He hit the over in Houston the year before. Shoot. All right.
It's too low.
I'm not gonna. It's fair, and I'm not gonna bet. I was thinking about the under because if all he has to do is miss like 3-4 starts, and you're already looking at the under there. I also can't bet the over because if it takes a really quick stint on the DL to miss that number. I just can't bet on someone being healthy the whole season.
I would say though, you mentioned he hit the under with Houston. The AL West is prolifically a division that does not strike out much compared to the AL East. Angels are a very tough team to strike out.
The Angels are always on there, and the A's, right?
The Mariners, usually a tough team to strike out, except last year. Another team that's always been tough to strike out. This is a much better division to get those strikeouts in, so I would lean towards the over on this one. Okay, I think we're good. We're good? I think we hit a lot.
We did hit a long period of time. Hit a lot.
So, okay, I think that's going to do it for this week. Wait. Don't hit the music. Next week. You ready for next week? Next week's going to be a lot of fun.
We're opening up odds. We're having our first in-studio guest. The odds on this person, I love this person, but the odds on this person being the first Panel B guest are pretty long, I would say, if we opened them up.
We won't reveal him yet because we want to make sure he's going to be in here.
We're not going to reveal him.
But we will be doing a segment on the WWE Royal Rumble. Some ways you can kind of have some fun with that. We'll be talking about that. That's going to be a preview for the ages. And honestly, I might hit you with the steel chair.
Okay.
So just be prepared.
We are on YouTube. That could get some views.
Yeah, I think we should do that. I think we should do a match ourselves in a cage in the calf.
Okay.
Winner gets some snacks.
I'm going to use my ending time to say that I love Wednesday night's college basketball card and check out my plays that I'll have on Twitter later. I think I'm going to have like 6 or 7 plays.
You are so selfish.
At Julian Edlow on Twitter. JulianEdlow.
For Julian Edlow, I'm Steve Buchanan. See you next week.